Today, we're gonna get sneaky with your deep Asian squat. I'm gonna show you two super simple, super sneaky ways to improve your hip mobility so that you can squat deeper and more comfortably. And if you're watching this in bed right now, you can do one of these things with me right now. We can do it together. Just don't tell my spouse or yours. And before we get started in bed together, I want to mention that the methods that I'm going to show you in this video have already been added to my Healthy Hips program. So if you want to be the first to be in the know and you want a comprehensive program to help you rebuild your hips at home, make sure you check that out at uprighthealth.com/HH. But now let's talk about how you're going to improve your hip mobility in bed, and let's do it together. So you're going to start off on a nice padded surface. You're going to have your hands supporting you, your knees supporting you, and your spine you're going to want to put in a neutral position. So you don't need to get this perfect, but I don't want you to be like super rounded here, and I don't want you going into like cow pose like this in a big U shape with your spine. You want to just start off first with something that's pretty neutral, a little bit of a U here, a little bit of a C here, a little bit of a U here. You want to maintain that spinal position as you shift your butt back towards your heels. As you do this, you don't want to go into a big C. You're just trying to keep the spine in the same general shape as you push back. That's going to force the femur, this thigh bone, and the pelvis to articulate, to move relative to each other. If you allow the spine to round, then the pelvis and the femur are no longer articulating. You're just making your pelvis round and your spine round. So keep this neutral, you're shifting back, and then when you hit your end point, which you will do, you might even hit it like right here. When you hit your end point, you're gonna feel stretch and challenge back here. You might feel it towards the inner thigh. You might feel it towards the outer hip. Wherever you feel it is fine as long as it's not pinching and jamming in the closing angle here. You want to feel it on the opening angle. So you're going to get to your end position, and there I'm going to encourage you to play around. You can do some posterior tilt intentionally now. I mean, you're intentionally squeezing your glutes, intentionally using your abs to tuck your tailbone down, and then you're going to intentionally do the opposite. So you're learning to posteriorly tilt and anteriorly tilt at your end range. Then you might notice that when you do that, things start to feel like, maybe there's some daylight. Maybe I can move back a little bit more. You're just going to be playing around with your range of motion and with your control. Every time you hit the end of your range, you're gonna see if you can build a little more control and comfort there. And then you're gonna find over time, sometimes immediately, but sometimes it takes a little while, that your range starts to improve because the muscles around the hip joint understand how to control that specific position. Now you'll notice that my hands and arms are having to adjust. Please feel free to adjust however you need to. If you need to come down onto your elbows, that's fine. Especially as your butt gets closer to your heels, the elevation of your upper body is going to change and you're going to need to adjust things, okay? So the general idea is you're creating a position that resembles the deep squat. So as you're doing this in bed, there are a couple things you can play with to make things a little spicier. And I'm curious to know, have you told anyone in your family that you watch Upright Health? If you did, how did you describe this channel? Drop me a comment down below. The first thing you can play with is the width of your knees. So when you first start off, something around shoulder width is good. But if you want to make things spicy, you can have your knees out wider than shoulder width and do the same exercise. So nice and wide, you're going to feel different muscles being challenged. Your inner thigh muscles are likely going to complain quite a bit more. But over time, you're going to find a safe range of motion. You're going to find the safe stopping point, and you can do the same thing I just talked about. You're going to do some anterior tilt. You're going to do some posterior tilt. Right now, you might be thinking, this is a little suggestive, which means now is the perfect time to tell you that Upright Health is launching its own OnlyFans. If you go to, I'm just kidding. So anterior tilt, posterior tilt, and we can also play around with going more narrow with the knees. So instead of being wider than shoulders, you can bring them in. You can even bring them super in if you'd like to. And you may notice, if you're one of those rare people, that it gives you more range of motion somehow. But if you're like me and many other people, having your knees together will probably give you less range of motion, and you'll have to be super attentive, super mindful about feeling the right level of challenge in your glutes and not pinching in the front of the hip. So take your time, make sure you only go to a range where you're feeling the opening angle get the challenge. Sometimes you might find that doing posterior or anterior tilt is going to help. Sometimes you might find even doing just a deliberate squeeze of the glutes or a squeeze of the inner thigh muscles will actually improve your control and improve your range of motion. So feel free to mess around with variables. Do it intentionally though. Don't just go slamming into the bottom position and then blame me for the hip pain that you gave yourself. Because I told you, when you're in bed, you gotta be attentive. So one more variable you can mess with when you're in bed or on a yoga mat or whatever is thinking about where your feet are in relation to your knees. When you're doing a textbook deep squat, your knees are basically over your feet and ankles. There might be some deviation here and there though, and it's nice to have the option to have that deviation. So what you can play with while you're working on this prone squat is to get your feet in different relationships to your knees. So right here, I'm kind of going into a frog position where my feet are coming together, my knees are out, and then I can work on the squat in this way, just bringing my butt to my heels, or I could have my feet out wider than my knees, and then I can slowly, mindfully come in towards my heels. Now the thing with this position is if you are not mindful and attentive, you can very, very easily hurt your knees. So I am telling you in very clear words that you need to pay attention. Your knees can get torqued pretty badly if you are blocking yourself into hip internal rotation, which this is, and then shifting back. If the stretch leaves here and you start to just slam through, you can feel pressure build on the inside of the knee to the point where it could snap and feel horrible and maybe seriously injure yourself. So be very careful when you're playing around with foot position relative to your knees. Make sure you feel the challenge in your hips or in the inner thigh muscles or wherever. Just make sure it's not pressure here at the inside of the knee. Remember when you're playing with all these different variables that you're not looking for a right and wrong position. You're looking to make more positions feel right and strong. So don't be afraid to do something that feels a little not quite textbook correct. Just make sure that you're also paying attention to the feedback your body is giving you so that you don't hurt yourself. Ultimately, your goal is to create a lot of different options for your body, and the way to do that is by learning to listen to feedback and also to give guidance to your body. So it's a two-way street, not just like a one-way, you're gonna do it this way. And speaking of strong, check out this comment from Ruth Terry, who said, I'm 70 and full-blooded Asian, but never did the squat. Seriously. Now with knee pain and stiff joints and videos like yours, I was inspired to give it a try. It took a while, but I can do them easily and even do 50 full body squats daily because I was diagnosed with sarcopenia and am working on reversing it. Thank you for the excellent content. Teaches us old folks how to care for our bodies. Thank you, Ruth Terry, for leaving that comment and inspiring others to move their bodies so that their bodies feel good. Ruth Terry is one more fantastic example of what happens when you get your body moving and you put in that time and effort. Making yourself work ends up feeling way better than just making excuses. Which brings us now to the next exercise, and I use that term really loosely because it's actually just sitting in a slightly different way. So you're sitting there watching YouTube, watching all the episodes of Black Mirror all over again. Okay, but seriously, what is going on here?
and you're really not doing anything that's helping your hip mobility. But you can make one simple change and it can actually improve your ability to deep squat. All you gotta do is pull one foot up here, and now you are actually challenging that hip to be in hip flexion. Now you can play with all kinds of variables here once you've got that foot up. You can sit upright more, pull that foot in closer. You can lean in towards that side. You could lean away from that side. You could have the foot further out as you sit more forward. You could pull it in, you could lean back. You can do all kinds of things that will challenge the hip in different ways. Load it, don't load it, twist to the side, whatever you want to do, it's okay. Just make sure that you're paying attention to how your body feels and that you're not torquing anything in a way that feels painful or injurious. Make sure also that you're going to do both sides so that both sides get a little bit of work. One side will almost definitely be stiffer or tighter or weaker than the other side. Give that side some extra attention. Give it some extra love. That's gonna help make sure that both sides have roughly equivalent function, though getting perfect symmetry is gonna be tough, believe me. And then once you feel like, yeah, I could get my foot up pretty easily, I'm no longer that stiff tin man that I was, you can start to do something that really helped one of my viewers, Tracy, get rid of years and years of back pain that wouldn't respond to anything else that she did. What she discovered was in her own body, if she just spent some time sitting with both feet up, both legs up, in what is essentially a squatting position while watching TV or just relaxing, she actually felt her back would feel a whole lot better. Some people who have anterior pelvic tilt, really strong arches in their spine, or people who are doing a lot of weightlifting and doing that, or surfing and getting a lot of arching in the spine, really feel a lot of relief when they have their feet up and the spine is just slightly rounded. That doesn't mean that everybody should accentuate that rounding, because for some people that may actually cause more back pain, but it can be helpful. So finding the positions that feel like they challenge you and have good long-term benefits for your body is the real goal here. Again, we're not looking for right and wrong positions. We're trying to make more positions feel right and strong. So don't get caught up in like, oh, it's got to be exactly this way with this angle at this position. You want to figure out what's challenging for your body. Is it being a little bit further out with the foot? Is it with the knee in? Is it with the knee out? And just spend some time breathing, relaxing, and allowing those hip muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, everything. Give it time to adapt and get used to new configurations, and you'll find that when you go to get into a squat, that things start getting a whole lot easier. And if the thought in your mind right now is how many minutes exactly should I be doing these different strategies to improve my hip mobility, my answer to you is available for only $79.99 if you send that to me via PayPal or Bitcoin. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. There is no one single number that's gonna make sense for every human being out there. You just need to learn to listen to your body. So start off with a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, and see how your body responds. If it feels good, then you can bump it up a little bit. If you feel like, ooh, I'm really sore, or something doesn't feel quite right, you're gonna wanna back it off a little bit. And you know, there is one final lifestyle change that I need to bring up, and it will make it possible for you to do everything else that I mentioned in this video. And that has to do with your choice in pants. If your pants are too tight, you're not gonna be able to squat. So you gotta make sure you're not wearing super skinny denim jeans that don't allow you to even sit down into a chair normally. You gotta get pants that have some stretch, or pants that are cut in a way that allow you to actually get full hip range of motion. If you don't do that, you're gonna be screwed. And if you'd like me to make a more detailed video talking about pants, drop me a comment down below and just write pants, and I'll make it. It should be pretty easy to integrate these into your daily life, and your hips will thank you. When you wake up in the morning, spend a couple minutes doing some prone squat practice. You don't have to get out of bed. You don't even have to get out from under your blankets, and you can work on improving your hip mobility. And then when you go to bed at night, you could even spend a minute or 2 or 5 just working on your hip mobility to improve your deep squats. And throughout the day, in your living room, if you're binging on Netflix, you can just pull up a foot or both feet and enjoy the movie in a pseudo squat position. And it's gonna help you when you do go to do a deep squat. As you introduce these practices into your life, pay close attention and see how your body feels. If it feels like you need to go slower and do less, that's perfectly okay. Just gradually increase over time as it feels good for your body. And for those of you who have really weak glutes, it might be a really good idea to integrate glute exercises to make sure that your hips stay balanced and feel stable. Being in a deep squat position for a long time when your glute muscles are weak and flabby can actually lead to some pain and discomfort. So make sure that your butt muscles are strong. You can find glute exercises on my channel. If you're on YouTube, you can just search glute exercises upright health and I'm sure something will come up, or you can go to my channel page and look for that little search bar, but that's super complicated. Just go to youtube.com and then search for glute exercises upright health. You'll find options. Or you can get a ton of exercises for your glutes, your inner thighs, your quads, your outer hips, your everything that attaches to your hips in my Healthy Hips program at uprighthealth.com/HH. There will also be a link down below. Make sure you click it and check out that program if you're at all interested in rebuilding your hips at home. I hope you find these sneaky squat strategies helpful. Let me know which one is the most helpful for you by dropping me a comment down below. Hit the like button, subscribe, and as always, I hope you remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.